What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel known as Azure. As always, I am your host, Daniel, followed by my co-host.
Julian.
And today we're going to be talking about not one, but two movies in regards to a TV show that's probably on, early 2000s to late 2010s?
Yeah, it's a show called Psych. It's a pretty
Yep.
good one.
Yep.
It was that and Monk. Those were the two.
They
They were on the same channel,
detective
right?
comedy. Yeah. They're two detective comedies. Monk will get to on a later note if we decide to do a whole series binge. But right now we're going to be talking about Psych. Show that follows... Well, they'll talk about the Psych movies, actually. We're not going to talk about the show unless we rewatch every single episode, and that's going to take a while for how long it is. 8 seasons, I think.
I mean, we've watched it, so we do have some knowledge on it, though. But yeah, Psych in the cultural zeitgeist. It was a pretty popular show when it came out. People liked it. It was a good one when it ended. There was some still lingering
Little plot lines that they could have fixed up in the first movie. I think it's just called Psych the movie, isn't it? Just regular Psych the movie.
Yeah, this is the second big special that isn't part of the show because there was a musical, but this is now an episode. Like this after. The
musical was actually just part of the series in general.
No, it's in between seasons, so it's like a 0.5 between the seasons.
Yeah, I guess that makes some sense. But yeah, so first off, Psych 1 follows the aftermath of the series finale, which concluded with Sean Spencer, the lead character, and his friend Gus go off to San Francisco so that Sean can marry his girlfriend Juliet, and he loses the ring because he gets stolen. So he doesn't really lose it, just gets stolen, and he tries to find it, and all in all he figures out someone's trying to kill Juliet from the past, and we later find out that it's supposed to be the new quote-unquote Mr. Yang, or Yin, no, Yang, yeah, it's Yang, because in the series Mr. Yin, Yang's dad, actually got a new recruit, right?
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay, so this new recruit ended up going to jail, but she escaped like always. Well, not like always, but like, because this is the first time she's escaped. But as far as this thing goes, like, you know how this is. Like, criminal goes to jail, criminal escapes, and yada yada yada. So yeah. Now, surprisingly though, in this movie, Shazam has a role in this.
Oh, well, we're talking about the actor. He's been in things like Chuck and Tangled. Yeah, so he got to be in this. Same thing with how like John Cena is the
brother of Juliet. That's why. So yeah, so Shazam actually is Zachary Levi, because I like calling him Shazam because that's who he is right now, quote unquote Captain Marvel, the real one. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he's in this one as a henchman and sort of like a red herring, because technically he's supposed to have the grudge against Juliet, but not really. So he's basically like the red herring for Mr. Yang, who has a real grudge and is a real villain in this movie, which I actually kind of enjoyed, because in that third Mr. Yin and Yang episode, I kind of wondered, like, okay, is this just some throwaway character? I mean, you guys spent a lot of time building up her characterization and all. When is she going to come back? And lo and behold, she's in the movie. So yeah, it's a nice little wrap up for the series, kind of like a true series finale. That's what I want to say.
Epilogue. So, that's what they usually call them.
Yes, so that. But epilogue's more for the second one, which we'll get to in a minute.
Well, so, that's more like a bonus episode, like one of those like TV specials after the fact. Where this is like it's not mandatory, but it is very important to how the series ends. With that one, you could skip and you don't really lose anything.
Well, I mean, you do miss one big part, which is Lassie, or Detective Carlton Laster, because he wasn't in the first one due to a stroke. So it's good that he's in this one too, because it's kind of like this. This is what I see it. There's a series finale, then there's this movie which is part 2 of the series finale, because it picks up kind of exactly almost like a day or so after the series finale of the TV show, and then Lassie Comes Home is an epilogue, because an epilogue usually tells, okay, where are they now after the series finale, and that's how it is.
Well, but this first one's also like a where are they now, since it's 4 years after the series ended, where Lassie's more just like a he's not really aware they now, they're still in the same place. It's just more like, here's some extra stuff with the side character, which is usually like a little, like a beach episode, kind of like here's this fun little
Lassie
episode.
Literally isn't that much of a side character, though. He's the actual part of the main cast. Like, aside from the movie, he's almost in every...
I usually treat Gus and like the main guy, Sean, as like the rest are just kind of like side guys. It doesn't mean they're not important, but they're not like the main cast. I know what you're saying, but like, Lasseter and Juliet are basically almost in every single episode of the show, so technically that does count as being some of the main characters. And I also see that with Lassie too, because none of it really mattered except for Lassie's part. Because like that's kind of one of the problems with the second movie is that like the parts with the main two cast, which is Gus and Sean, like they are kind of like just filler. There's not too much going on, and like it is a good joke, but even Sean's possible progression as a character is like, oh no, he got mixed up. It was actually Gus's kid.
Yeah,
which is like
in this whole second movie, there's this whole little subplot of how Sean finding a pregnancy test and thinking it's Juliet's, but no, it's Gus's new girlfriend. So he's gonna be a daddy.
Yeah, so it's like they kind of like it kind of resets the character to more status quo, which is something that like a non-epilogue would do. Whereas like in the first movie, there is a progression in Sean's character and Gus's.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because he did end up marrying Juliet at the end of the first movie. So yeah, I don't know. But this one, I want to say there's more of a spotlight on Lasseter because he was absent for the first movie, except for that one brief interaction, over FaceTime.
Yeah, this was.
I mean, you can see it, and you can see it too, like on the actual camera. Like he's basically just there limp because he's still recovering from the stroke.
Yeah, he did get a good conclusion with the whole his movie. I mean, if there wasn't a good conclusion with him on the movie, his own movie, that would be kind of
bad. Yeah,
a bad sign. Yeah, also because the humor in the first one's better with the characters. Where two, they kind of go with the more, oh, isn't Sean awkward? Isn't he like can do weird stuff? Like, and so like I like how in the first one there's more real, funnier scenes, I guess.
In a sense, what you're trying to say is like the first movie exemplifies like later seasons in the show, whereas the second movie kind of like doubles back to like the first couple seasons of the show.
Yeah, something like a more fillery, like, hey, remember the show? It's nostalgic kind of thing would do. Whereas, like, I like the later seasons humor because it showed Sean and Gus more development.
I will say, though, probably one of the most timeless characters that showed up in the second movie that I'm glad got a bigger role was McNabb.
Yeah, you like McNabb?
Yeah, McNabb, if you guys don't know, is basically what you think of as a goofy cop. He's basically over 6 feet tall, kind of buff, and like he literally does not know what's going on and somehow made detective.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, he only shows up for a few minutes, so he did get a good scene. That's true.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, it's better than like his little small cameos as in the first one, where he tried to make Sean's stuff come true.
Did he even have a cameo?
McNabb? I can't even tell if that was actually McNabb or not. I thought it was because of like how he acted and everything, but it could have been Woody.
Yeah, I was like, did he even have a cameo? I don't really remember that.
I remember when we were talking about it, and I saw him, and I saw the way he acted. I was like, damn, that's McNabb. And you agreed, and so did the other guy. But I know another thing about it could have just been Woody. Woody is also another goofy side character who basically is like, what is he? Shit, I forgot the name. Coroner. He's a coroner. That's what he is.
Yeah, well, he was. He hasn't done it for a while.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he did. But then he got reduced to... Well, he was a coroner for SVPD. Then in the first movie, he was promoted to chief coroner of the entire police department. But then after some mishap, he got demoted to assistant coroner. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And then in the second movie, he just showed up back in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, which shows how like season 2 kind of wanted to have a more classic, not like a real. It almost feels like season 2 could be before. Like no, not season 2. I meant the second movie was before the first. Like outside of Gus's girlfriend and them being married, it could have easily been.
Yeah, it could have been
before the first movie. In all honesty.
Yeah, I want to say like the whole thing that got kind of messed up for me was that whole like that ending part for the nurse. Like when Lassie confronts her and be like, "How could you be a part of this?" And he's like, "Oh, just because I'm a woman, this can't be my idea." I'm like, "No, that's not what he said." He said, "How could you be a part of it?"
It's
being a part of it. No. Hold on. Being a part of it means you still are a part of it. Not doesn't mean like, oh, this wasn't your idea. Being a part of it means you're in it. Like, just because I didn't say, oh, why are you doing this? This was your idea the whole time. That doesn't mean anything. Like, no, you're still part of the problem. That just because I didn't specifically say that you're the head of the problem. That's kind of what bothered me a bit.
Yeah, it's just weird for this show to do that too. Since I mean, Julie is, as you said, is a pretty major character, and the first movie main villain was already
a female. Yeah,
it was like that's so it doesn't really work in this show since there's already one major female character that is basically the like if you go by a strength thing, she's like the strongest one out of Gus and like who's the other one? Sean. And then you have the police commissioner, who's also like, you know.
Oh no, technically she's not. She wasn't the commissioner. She passed out the job. Remember?
Yeah. But so I forget her name.
Chief.
Is the reason. What?
Chief Vic.
Yeah, Vic. So like she's really, you know, very on the nose, serious. So having this be in the movie was a little weird because like that's not really what the show was about before. They didn't have a problem with having that kind of thing happen in the show. So having that was like, okay, that was weird, and it's fine because it was only like 2 seconds, and then like
he gets dropped. But I mean, like the fact that it's just there, like where it doesn't really need to be. That's what it is.
Yeah, and the fact that like Lassie does something cool afterwards is why it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, it was weird.
Because this is like one of the rare like maybe early 2000 shows that actually gave equal opportunity to a lot of people, whereas most people would just like focus on like the main guys and everything. But no, like they had female characters, they had strong female characters, and they like characterized them a bit more. So you get to know like, oh yeah, they're people, they're strong, but they're also human. They're gonna have like downsides and everything.
See, I wouldn't even say like equal. I'd say they actually elevated the female ones more since they were more confident and less like childish.
Oh, yeah,
they had more serious careers and were like, because even back then with Woody being like one of the like assistant or head guys, like he's got a silly, goofy streak to him, like in confidence. Whereas most of the female ones were pretty on the ball. Where with that, it's like no, there already is like they have Yin, right? Like she's already was the main villain.
No, she's Yang.
Yang, yeah, but they had Yang, where it's like that was the main villain, that was the one that was the closest to murdering them. Like, there's some respect with that.
But then you have this completely new character, which was kind of just there to be a red herring in the first place because of how she acted, all calm and collected. You kind of be suspicious of, but really to try and draw the attention to the actual chief of staff, when he's actually the red herring for the nurse. And then have her pull like a whole feminist power type struggle thing was like, no, that's not how the show is. Like it kind of takes a diverging turn of how it's kind of supposed to be regressing and progressing at the same time of the tone of the movie.
Yeah, honestly, like second movie really is just for Lassie, and the other ones are just there.
Yeah,
it's the only joke I really liked in the second one was the whole thing with the ice chips.
Oh,
I like that. That was a funny one.
Oh, yeah. With the whole what was it, Mary? That whole hallucination sequence?
Yeah. Oh, no, I just meant them eating it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean Gus just keep eating them after Sean just says no?
Yeah, just overall, just whenever they talked about ice chips, that was like funny. That was funny to me. Just overall. I mean, yeah, especially once like the baby scene was actually the part where I was like, I don't really care for this.
I don't know, I can see why Mary had a part in the first movie, but this one just feels kind of forced too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we had Mary for the first one, might as well have him for the second one. I think it also has to do with like terms of like budgeting and everything too, because like for the first one it was on Amazon Prime, so they had like a very bigger budget so they could do more stuff. But this one was on Peacock, which is a free streaming service, so I suspect the budget wasn't really that much bigger, not as big as Amazon Prime. So they're like, okay, let's just do some quick stuff here and there and get this out of the way so we can save some money too.
True, but the best jokes in the first one didn't really need that big of a budget, like the whole thing with Gus saying like, "Oh, Pluto should be a planet," or.
Well, I mean, Pluto being a planet is more of a returning gag. That's what it is.
That's what I mean, right? Like it has it has that history to it where they brought it up, or also the one where it's like that one guy, the one gang guy, like where like he is like, "Oh, I'm actually like a pastor or something." And it's hey, like that was. He was a funny character, and it showed the competency of like Sean's character and being a psych. There was barely any of that in the second one. Like there was a couple scenes where he used his powers, but most of it was kind of just like him bumbling around.
Technically, he's not really powers. He just really has like photographic memory or something like that.
Yeah,
hyper observant. That's what they called it.
But it is a power, within the context of how we see it. So yeah, his powers.
That's true. Yeah.
He doesn't use his abilities. If you would prefer that term, me to use that term.
It's either what it is. What it is. That's what it is.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna draw like a weird conclusion. Like, so, first one was fine. The second one, it has more of a Hitman 4 kind of vibes. Like it's like a kind of fan film. I want to say like what we're trying to get at.
I'd say it's more like the first one was a perfect conclusion to the show because it's this. If you like the show, that's great conclusion.
Like the movie automatically.
Yeah, it's like better than the conclusion to season 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you didn't like the show, well, don't watch this. And if you didn't like, obviously it is for fans. But if you didn't watch the show, then watch the first seasons because you won't have any of the impact if you just plop onto this movie. And the second one almost feels like you don't even need. Yeah, in a way, that's almost like you could honestly start with that one, and it wouldn't really do anything like bad because a lot of it is like season 1 has more of the conclusion to it outside of Lassie. Like Lassie's the only character you might have had to watch to have a satisfying ending with.
That's true. That's true.
Which is cool because Joel McHale wasn't like Joel McHale's scenes with Lassie were good though, really good though. Joel McHale is the guy from Community I was talking about. He's Lassie's dad in this.
Yeah, Lassie gets flashbacks from his dad because of the pill, because of the ice chips, because they have some hallucinogenic purposes.
Yeah.
To get people to like spill their secrets and all that. So
Which he
that's what
doesn't
it was. Well, he did take it at first, but then he stopped taking them.
Yeah, because he's a badass. He knew what was going on. It's Lassie for you.
Yep, Lassie's too badass to be subjugated to a bed the whole movie. I would say that one of the bad notes is that we didn't see his daughter. Like, we saw Chief Vic's baby in season 1, and that was fine. And then we saw her again in later seasons, and then we saw her as an actual kid in the first movie. But we barely saw Lassie's baby in season 8, but we didn't see her in the second movie. We saw his wife Marlo, which is nice and everything because his wife. But I mean, you'd think she'd bring the daughter too.
Because they didn't want to hire another. I mean, they didn't want to hire another actor, and I mean, like, it wouldn't really do much extra since that was already satisfying enough scene. Since it was just him trying to stand up and like hug her, which was like good, and it didn't end right after that, like right there.
Because it had like a long take for Woody. That's why.
Yeah. So that was that was a good ending. I'm glad that they had the whole thing with Lassie. Aren't they making a third one too?
I don't know. I think it depends on how well this one is done.
It's hard to say because this is on like Peacock.
Yeah. Also when we watched it was only like 2 or 3 days afterwards. That's why.
Yeah. So I mean, really, the recommendation is just if you like Psych, you'll love the first one. If you want to see more Psych, if you want to watch more Psych content, and you find it with whatever. Or you want to see more classic season 1, season 3 kind of Psych, then watch the second one also. Though that one's harder to recommend because it is a bit like lower quality.
So that's our thoughts on this movie. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Comments, questions, anything like that, you know where to put them. Anything else, you know where that goes. See you guys.
Bye.